All right, the fade out is done. It looks like it is time to talk some Star Wars. It's a Monday night. It's May the 4th Eve into all a good night, as it were. But we're not here to talk about all the money I'm going to spend tomorrow. That's not true. But we're here to talk about the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars show tonight in honor of tomorrow's Bad Batch. I'm here. Corey's here. Wes is here. We got some folks in the chat. I'm excited. You're excited, I hope. Don't click off this video before Wes punches it. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Living Force. I am one of your hosts with my sick new Her Universe Tano shirt, Eric Eilerson, repping a character we won't be talking about tonight. And I'm joined by Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, man.
What is up? We already have talk in the chat about how to pronounce Genndy Tartakovsky, and I'm going to have to say that 1,000 times to get it right. Genndy Tartakovsky, Genndy Tartakovsky, Genndy Tartakovsky.
If you say it 3 times into a mirror, Mace Windu will appear. We also, though, have, hilariously, not the host who wanted to do this episode in the first place, but we do have Wes Jenkins. Hey, man.
Hello, it's Genndy Tartakovsky. Genndy Tartakovsky.
Genndy?
Genndy.
Is it Genndy or Gandhi?
It's Genndy. I was saying
Okay.
I'm watching the Genndy Tart comic, or the Genndy Tart Clone Wars, but it's not right. It's
Well,
know.
we're here to talk about Mr. T's cartoons that he did about Star Wars. And for those of you unfamiliar with that, that is the Clone Wars series that just dropped on Disney Plus in the Vintage Collection earlier last month. But to that in a moment. First, a couple things. As we said earlier, I'm using the royal we here because I'm that guy. It is May 3rd, as of this recording, because we're intelligent and decided to do our live podcast the day before May the 4th. Because this won't be outdated by the time it hits your audio player on Friday.
I mean, we didn't decide to do that. It happens to be Monday, and like here we are.
Yeah.
So
That's true. We didn't intentionally do it, but it is the night before May the 4th. And guys, we got a lot of stuff coming tomorrow. Obviously, most importantly, we have a 70-minute premiere episode of The Bad Batch.
Oh
The
boy.
new series on Disney Plus dropping this morning at midnight Pacific. I will be waking up for the first time at 2 a.m. Chicago time to watch it. Guys, we talked about this on Bounty Hunt this weekend. Go check that out on this very channel. But for those that didn't watch, how are you feeling about the Bad Batch finally premiering?
well, I'm not going to get up at 3 a.m. because I have to get up at 5 to go to work. So that's not going to happen.
2 hours earlier, just easy. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm just not going to go to
have
sleep.
it on during work.
I'm just gonna keep drinking from now until like when I go to work in the morning. I'm sure that can't go badly for me at all.
No,
Really?
don't do that.
Wow, Wes the fun sucker, I suppose.
Good Lord. Hey, and by the way, we need you to help perform this amputation on this person's foot.
I can do it.
Come on, there's an episode of Grey's Anatomy about that. I guarantee it.
That's right. That's right.
But we did chat briefly this weekend in our new weekly show, Bounty Hunt, where we'll be going through all of the Bad Batch episodes every weekend about what we loved, about what we are excited about. And we showed some of the character posters we've gotten. And today we got one more character poster. Let's throw that up on the screen because this revealed a character that was a little mysterious. Omega. This is the new Grogu, as I will call them. What initial thoughts? She was in the trailer. We chatted about her a bit, but now she's got a name.
I don't think I've ever been more curious about an animated character ever. Like I think this just speaks to me on so many different levels because like I love the clones. I'm like really, really into the clones. I love Order 66. I love Jango Fett. Like everything about all of this is just super interesting. And it's a girl. What does it mean? I don't know.
It's true.
Oh my God. Blind Fates just blew my mind in the chat. she might be the last clone.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. Omega is the last Greek letter. Yeah, I saw that on Reddit today. Somebody said
That's
that.
Awesome.
Yeah, like Django is the Alpha and she's the Omega, which is flipping awesome.
That
or Boba? No, Boba. Oh, I guess he might not be the first clone.
Yeah, sure. I don't know who the first one was.
Yeah, I guess you would consider Django like the Alpha, but anyway, regardless, Omega is a great name.
Yep.
I have no idea who she is. She looks awesome, and I'm excited. It's gonna be great.
I'm so stoked. This is the first time. I'm not a midnight watcher. In my previous Disney Plus shows, I've like gotten up at 5 or so and watched before work. But because tomorrow is May the 4th, there's a lot of merchandise dropping. And because we live in the age of everyone learned how to shop on the internet in the last 12 months really well, Shop Disney says they're going to be releasing like exclusive lightsabers and exclusive things at midnight Pacific and at 7 a.m. Pacific. I don't know what's going to be in which drop, but I don't want to wake up at 7 and be like, oh, the thing I wanted dropped at 2 in the morning. So my plan, I'm going to tell y'all right now, is to do this show with you lovely people. I love it. I love the show very much. And then I'm going to bed like almost immediately. And then I'm going to wake up at 1:30. I'm going to go shopping at 2 a.m. maybe. Then I'm going to watch The Bad Batch. Then I'm going to go to sleep. Then I'm going to wake up again for the second drop at 6:30 a.m. And then I'm going to work. And my manager, if you're watching,
you are a madman.
Yeah,
I swear.
I'll be fine.
I want a time lapse. I want you to take a picture of your face right when you wake up for the first drop of the merchandise, and then take a picture of the second time you wake up, and you're just like,
yeah.
it's gonna be,
and
rough,
then take a picture of your face right when you're about to log off of work.
See, and it's a problem.
This is I think I'm gonna try to get up and watch it. I really enjoy all the Slack talk that happens during the day, and every single time that time I have waited, I've regretted it. So I'm gonna try to get up, but I'm not sure if you guys have realized this. This is the longest Star Wars thing we've gotten on Disney Plus, like in one sitting. Do you realize that?
Yeah. Wow.
Like all the Mandalorian, like all the Clone Wars season 7, nothing was 70 minutes. Like that's a like usually I usually get up like an hour before or whatever, but no, I'm gonna have to time. I'm gonna have to get up like an hour and a half. Like I'm gonna have to get up like maybe I just get up at 3 a.m. because that's the time I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy because it's like this is not what we're used to, as far as I understand. This is not episode 1 and episode 2 premiering like they did that with, was it Clone Wars? They premiered like 2 episodes one day or something. This is one episode. Like it is a full thing. And then there are 15 additional episodes because we did confirm it's a 16 episode season.
Okay.
We got our bounty hunts laid out for us, boys. I'll tell you what.
I know. We don't have to speculate too much on the show, but like I know that you guys can catch it on Bounty Hunt. Like we said, Bounty Hunt, in case you've missed this, Bounty Hunt used to be a Patreon exclusive show. We pushed it to a live stream. It's open to the public. It's on our YouTube channel now, I believe, right? Can't you go watch it?
It's up right now.
Yeah,
right before this video.
We did like a sort of a pre Bad Batch episode over the weekend, which was a lot of fun. So we've really enjoyed doing those, and we speculated a lot on that show. I mean, that's what we do. We just kind of mess around and talk about film and media and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. Go check that out. But yeah, I mean, any thoughts on this first episode? I know like some of the big thing that we said was probably Order 66. You think they're going to just come out the gate with it?
You convinced me yesterday when we recorded that the bounty hunt for the Bad Batch recap, that they're going to do Order 66. What are they going to do it in the very beginning of the show, or are they going to do it at minute 68? Minute 67?
I think it'll be in like the first third. If we're going like a 3-act structure, right? Maybe like the first third ends with it, and then it's like the escape, and then they're safe, and then it ends with them on the adventure in their ship, which I already forgot the name of, which I'm sure is getting a Lego set tomorrow. But I on the note of May the 4th as well, though, I wanted to tell you all, if you're watching this, hi, I'm Eric. If you're watching this, a couple things on Utini for May the 4th to keep your eye out for. We have a video coming out tomorrow about Star Wars Insider that our very own Emma Park made with the help of Trev Davey, who you may know from Star Wars Archives and the Keeper of the Utini Timeline. They have a deep dive into the history of Star Wars Insider in honor of the Star Wars Insider fiction collection that is being delivered to my house tomorrow. I know some people found it at bookstores this weekend. But after delay after delay after delay, I'm sure Jared on our team finally wrote enough angry letters that they're releasing it to the public. So check that out. And then, of course, on our social channels, both personal and official, we'll be reacting to the news drops as they come. I'm sure we'll find out some stuff. I mean, Marvel dropped a hell of a sizzle reel today, so maybe Star Wars will follow suit tomorrow. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Ooh, what if we got like another teaser trailer for the next film or something? That would be wild. Or a TV show? You think we're going to get something media, like film or TV?
I just want a picture of Cassian Andor's face. That's it.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I'll be happy with anything. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a bunch of stuff, but, you know, I'd be happy with anything.
Yeah, it'd be cool, like good 30-second teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Just to tide us over.
That's right.
And we'll see how much there is too, because tomorrow night we have a Patreon event, our night at the opera that we've been talking about for a while. Us and our patrons, Inquisitorius and above, will be getting together on a Zoom and watching that Bad Batch episode again at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So if you are one of our patrons, make sure you keep an eye out on your email, and over on Patreon, Timothy is sending all the info that you'll need for that tomorrow night. But I'm sure if some stuff gets dropped, we might have a little chat there as well. And I mean, when all those shows dropped, Corey and I had to make an impromptu video because of the excitement. So I don't know what they're going to drop, but keep your eyes out. We can't hold our excitement for these things if they're too big. So very excited for that. And speaking of Patreon, we have no new patrons this week. We do not have a patron of the week this week, but we have you, whoever you are, and your shining face. And we'll see you tomorrow night for the Night at the Opera event. All right. Now, on to our Star Wars weekly roundup. We do have a book review this week. It's been a while. It's been a little bit of a bit since we got some cool Star Wars reference books, but our friends at Abrams were glorious and beautiful enough to send this over my way. This is, get the glare off it a little bit. Can't get the glare off it. It's not possible. The Art of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge by Amy Ratcliffe. Now, this has been going around Twitter for a while. It's a thick boy. It's a thick boy of a book. And if you're familiar with the art books from all the films, you're going to find a lot of things to love in here, right? You got your basic concept arts for all the shops. You got concept arts for all the rides. But what I really especially like in this book is that it's kind of the ultimate argument against, Disney just made a theme park, right? Because this book it carries a $50 price tag, like normal art books. It is fully illustrated. It's hundreds of pages, because there are interviews with designers that thought about Galaxy's Edge clearly, just like they would think about a film. They talk about the world building. They talk about the character fashion. They talk about the stories that are told around. There's illustrations of the universe and the galaxy around the planet of Batu or whatever, however you say it. And that's what I was really surprised at as I was reading through it. Amy does a great job kind of narrativizing the creation of the park, from its inception in the way that they thought about it, to the things that they kept, to the things that they didn't. And one of the coolest things about that I find as I'm flipping through is that there are things that aren't in the park that are in this book. However, because it's not a film, they didn't yell cut, they didn't just put it out there. All of this, or most of this stuff, can still be made in the future. There can be expansions. There can be things that they'll bring back at later times. And in that way, it's kind of like the ultimate guide to the current park and the preview guide for the future of the park. And as someone who had not 2, but 3 trips to Galaxy's Edge canceled because of COVID, we had to do it. I get it. I'm excited to go. If you didn't miss it before this, it is almost unbearable now reading this, to learn the history of the places that you already wanted to go. And it made me think about the first announcements about Galaxy's Edge and how excited we were because we saw the art and what is it? What could it be? And now I think that throughout the last year, it feels like, at least online, we've kind of taken for granted that there is a custom built Star Wars world in real life. Like that's still insane. And this book really brings back a lot of the magic of that initial discovery, because it shows you all the things you can see in the park physically, all the stories that can kind of enrich your experience of being there. So if you like the art books already. I assume you're probably going to pick this up. If you were a little hesitant because you thought it might be a little too much about like, I don't know, about like, oh, I can buy this here, I can buy this there. It's really a lot more spiritually like the films, right? This is a story they told at the park. It's a story they tell while you're there, clearly. And if you want the behind the scenes of the stories, you got to check it out. It's available now from all booksellers. Amy, congratulations. She also snuck a couple of Taylor Swift references in there. So for those Easter eggs, right? You got to love it. Affiliate links are available at utini.com if you want to throw us a couple bucks as you pick up this glorious book. So The Art of Galaxy's Edge, available now wherever books are sold. A couple more shout outs I want to give here. I want to start doing this a lot more because we have 3 live shows on the UTini Podcast Network on YouTube. The Living Force, which you are currently watching, The Cosmic Force, which is our comic show every Wednesday evening, and Legends Look Back, which is our Thursday night show. And I'm going to start telling you all what's coming up on those shows this week because they plan ahead way more than we do. So this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, The Cosmic Force is going to be talking about comic book events. So these are like talking about crossover issues, things like that, in honor of War of the Bounty Hunters coming up in the Star Wars books. And Legends Look Back is bringing back star guest of many of a Utini podcast, Cheryl Bell, for their first part of their Outbound Flight Roundtable by Timothy Zahn. Now, Corey West, have you guys read Outbound Flight? Because I have not.
Years ago. It's been a very, very long time, but I did a long time ago.
I have seen what the cover looks like.
I bought it and put it on my shelf and went, yeah. Nice. So I am actually very excited to check out that show on Thursday because for some of us that are really into Thrawn Ascendancy right now, right? Greater Good is celebrating its release couple weeks, release month, if you will. This is that. This is Chiss lore pre-canon. It's a really thick, awesome Legends novel. So very excited to see the gang on Thursday and very excited for the Wednesday gang to get us excited about the upcoming comic event, which again starts this Wednesday. Check out your local comic shop or Comixology for War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha #1. And of course, as always, if you're looking to buy any of the books we talk about, this is the middle ad break. This is the middle ad break that I have to say. Check out the Utini new releases timeline. Upcoming novels include The High Republic, The Rising Storm on June 29th, and The High Republic Race to Crash Point Tower, also on June 29th. Thank you to Frank on our team for keeping that up to date. All right, I'm running out of saliva in my mouth for a second. So, Wes, can you go run us through the book reviews we have this week?
Sure can.
Replace it with beer. That's what I need.
So first up, we have Matthew J., and he reviewed Myths and Fables by George Mann. Spoiler alert, he gave it 5 stars. So, when I first heard about this book on the Living Force, I knew I had to get it, and it lived up to the hype. I thoroughly enjoyed all the stories. I just wished there were more stories. As a non-American, I have the standard version. If I ever visit Galaxy's Edge, I will definitely get that version. I can't wait to get Dark Legends and their recently announced Life Day. This book will not be for everyone, but people who enjoy these types of stories will love it. I can't wait to have children one day just so that I can read them this book. Well, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many versions of this book are there?
I think there's 3, is there not?
Yeah, there's the regular version, the Target version, and then the Galaxy's Edge version, which I did review on this channel in a previous weekly roundup. That's like all bound and had like I think 5 extra stories. Or something.
Extra stories, and then the Target version was just like a different color.
Yeah.
Or was it?
Yeah, I think maybe it had 1 or 2 more. Oh yeah, here it is. Look at that.
How did you summon that to your hand? Like
I did. I'm like Thor,
Force
and now
Corey.
it goes away. Ah!
Very good.
You gotta quit making these thumbnails for me, Eric. I can't have you on every one of these.
Excellent.
Here, I'll take the next one.
All right.
Yeah.
that one was less impressive.
I know. It was good. So this is Leia O reviewed Bloodline by Claudia Gray, giving it 5 stars, and says, this was the first Star Wars book I ever read, and I loved it. The relationship between Leia and the other main character, Ransom Casturfo, is phenomenal, and all the characters in the book are well written. Claudia Gray is one of the best Star Wars authors out there, I may be a bit biased as Leia is my favorite character, but this is the best Star Wars book in my opinion. Amazing. Bloodline was also one of my first canon books.
I remember that.
And I loved it. It doesn't get talked about as much, does it?
It doesn't. Yeah, it's a heavy politics book. Like if you're really into politics, Claudia Gray writes a lot of politics, and it's very good.
Is this the first time we see Ransom Casterfo?
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is.
So that's why it didn't ring a bell to me when I read. I read the Rebecca Roanhorse book.
Yeah, his whole story is pretty much in that one. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah. It was great. All right, Corey, round us out, man. We got one last one about one of your favorites.
Yes, that's right. Obi-Wan C. reviewed Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising by Timothy Zahn. He gave this book 4 stars. He said, I have a confession to make. This in Rebels is the first time I went on an adventure with the to-be Grand Admiral. I know, I'm sorry, but man, what a first adventure it was. It was all a bit confusing in the beginning, and you get a lot of information thrown at you. But Zahn really takes his time to explain what happens. And also, I love that everything in this book is new to me. The Chiss Ascendancy is new. Thrawn and his pals are new. The way they navigate to other planets, those planets, and the inhabitants of those planets, all new. The only thing that isn't new to me is something that's pretty much new to them. What they call lesser space. And I love that they call it that. Really shows how high and mighty they think they are. Anyway, I'm super hyped for the other 2 books in this trilogy and cannot wait to see Thrawn transform into the super intimidating guy I know from the Rebels TV show. It really says that. Transform to the super intimidating guy I know from the Rebels TV show, except when he wears that helmet.
it's not the best
accurate. That helmet is so stupid. I don't know why he wears that stupid helmet.
Right.
He was.
Please order an attack on the planet. And it's like, dude, bro, I don't need that.
That's right.
And you don't know how
Got a super chat I want to talk about. If you want your review on this show, look up your book on utini.com, scroll down to the bottom and add your own star rating and use your review. We will talk about this on the show. And we just got a super chat from Star Wars Timeline, the channel and the personification of the timeline, I have to assume. And said, I just released my recommendation video on their channel. Go check them out. They said, which canon and legend book would you all recommend for a newcomer? We haven't talked about this in a bit. So
we have.
Where we are now, let's start canon book for a newcomer. Let's say we can't say Lost Stars. I think that's an easy one we go to.
Lost Stars.
What's a good canon first read?
I might actually jump in with this Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising because like that trilogy is ongoing. It's going to be completed this year. It's like it hits that sort of key point, which is like to follow along with the community is a lot of fun, right? So I think that'd be actually a good one to start with. I think it's not, you don't really have to know that much because it kind of starts fairly fresh as far as like all the politics and stuff of the Chiss. So maybe it's a good one.
That could be good. Wes, what do you think?
I want to say Master and Apprentice. Master and Apprentice would be a great choice. Just to where you get the Jedi that you're looking for, and you're familiar with the characters from the prequels. So I think that would be a good start to get some familiarity behind the reading.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, especially like, and if you're a reader that's coming from a lot of prequel love, you can't get better, right? As a first book, Master and Apprentice. You're more cerebral fans. I think Ascendancy is a great point. Timeline says they included the first new Thrawn book as well. I know Corey, you love that one as well. I think that's a great one for new readers. Man, it sounds weird, right? But I also think, despite the fact that it has a lot of references, Resistance Reborn is also a pretty good one because it has a lot of book references that you don't need to know. But it also is so in line with characters, especially from the sequel trilogy. If you love that, it's I think one of the closest tie-ins that we've had for those characters. So that's definitely some good canon ones. Now legends wise, gosh, obviously the pool is so much bigger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go first on this one. So I have like one that's really popping in front of my head. I go with Darth Bane. I think Path of Destruction is just a great intro. It's an easier read. Right. There's so much in it. It really buzzes through as far as pacing goes, which is, I think, for your first read, you want something that's really going to go by quick so you feel accomplished. And the character work in Dark Side Mythos is just so brutal and so good. And I think something that's really, really great about Legends. Oh, okay. I'm gonna ask you guys. I almost read a chat answer, but I think one of y'all might say it as well.
Yes, that's the one, Andrew. Kenobi. I would pick Kenobi as if you're dipping into Legends for the first time, to grab on again, like I said, with the canon reference, familiarity with the character, because you know that Obi-Wan was banished, or if you will, hiding on Tatooine during episode 4, and you see that come to light in episode 3 as well. So that give you something to look forward to when you're reading through it.
I'm going to use that as an excuse post-COVID for why I don't want to go out. Like, oh, I'm banished. I'm sorry. I can't go. Oh, no, it's my honor code.
That's right. That's right.
I got to watch out for my neighbor.
I think there's only one obvious choice when you're looking at Legends books, and that's the classic I, Jedi. I mean, why wouldn't you read that amazing book?
How can we forget?
Don't read I, Jedi. Don't read that book. It's bad. The book is bad. It's really bad. Don't read it. All right. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, definitely check out Star Wars Timeline's channel. We sent him some merch a while back. He's got some pretty cool stuff. Check him out for sure. Thank you for the super chat, man.
Appreciate it. So now on that, I'm thinking about all the Star Wars books I've read. And it makes me happy in my soul. But what's gonna make me even happier is talking about some Clone Wars-ness of Genndy Tartakovsky. So stay right there. We're gonna show you one last merch ad about the shirts that are going away, or might already be gone. I'm not gonna lie, it might be too late. But we'll show it to you now. We'll be right back to talk about Genndy Tartakovsky. I messed it up, the Clone Wars. Just go away. Okay, now we are here, my friends. We're talking tonight about a little thing called the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars. This is a 2D animated show that arrived on the Disney Plus earlier in the Vintage Collection. And I want to get a guest of the show's opinions on this in just a second. But before we talk about that, I want to ask you guys just straight up, when you heard this was coming to Disney Plus, what were your initial thoughts? Because I feel like they've been pretty good at never acknowledging anything un-Disney. Like, and then they're like, oh, by the way, all the really weird Ewok shows and that non-canon Clone Wars, we're gonna give it on Disney Plus. What was up with that?
Can we talk a little bit more about what this actually was, in case people, the listeners, like, it's easy for us to say, 'cause we're gonna show some pictures and stuff like on the video stream. So audio listeners,
you go first.
If you don't know what we're talking about, this is a early version of the Clone Wars that was previewed on Cartoon Network back in the day, in a series of like mini, what do you call them, mini episodes, I guess. They're all really short, they're like 5 to 8 minutes long, right? And they showed
short,
really short back in the day, and it's considered sort of a prequel maybe to the real Clone Wars TV show that we all know and love. A lot of people don't really know that it exists. It released here, I pulled up on Wikipedia here, 2003 to 2005. It was a series of 25 like mini episodes from 2003 2005, and this is interesting, it was the first Star Wars television show since Ewoks, which aired from 1985 1986. I didn't know that,
which is wild. And it's especially wild because this is pre-Revenge of the Sith. We got the Battle of Geonosis at the end of episode 2, and then this was what the Clone Wars were for years. I mean, this was where we saw Grievous for the first time. This is where a lot of the stuff that affected Revenge of the Sith got originated. And they did it on Cartoon Network in short cartoons.
I know.
Which is also the most George Lucas thing ever.
It is, and like, it really feels like a test run for Lucas. Like this was the first real animated TV show, and I've always sort of felt like it was that. I feel like the Clone Wars is the thing that George Lucas always wanted to tell, right?
Agreed. 100%.
Like, he referenced it in the first opening crawl of the first Star Wars film he produced. It says Clone Wars in the opening crawl, I think. Doesn't it say? I think it says the Clone Wars in the opening crawl. I'm pretty sure the words Clone Wars is in the opening crawl.
I mean, he definitely says it. Like Sir Alec Guinness has to say the words "the Clone Wars."
Yeah, you fought with your father in the Clone Wars, right? Yeah, it's crazy,
Leia
right? So I feel like the Clone Wars has always been the story that he wanted to tell, and he just never could. He knew that George Lucas is the man of not having the medium available to tell his story, right? And I feel like animation was something he always wanted to do, and but he maybe didn't want to pull the trigger on a full TV show for whatever reason. Maybe after I don't know, maybe not amazing TV show that was the Ewok show, perhaps.
Not spectacular,
But I mean, it's weird and different, and it's very unlike anything else we've seen. And like, I don't know if the Clone Wars that we know would be the same if it wasn't for this show. So
I think you're probably not.
If you're not familiar with the animation style, it's kind of the same. I think Genndy Tartakovsky. I did it too, Eric. Genndy Tartakovsky did the Powerpuff Girls, and like Johnny Bravo. So
Samurai Jack
as well. Yeah. So it's that sort of animation.
It looks like those shows, like strongly, like it's very anime and epic and like way over the top. Like,
right, absolutely,
it's a lot of fun.
And it's a lot focused on, especially for the Samurai Jack reference. It's very much focused on action in these. There's not a lot of dialogue, especially in the early episodes. Later on, in Disney Plus, it's separated into essentially 2 movie lengths, like 2-hour-long episodes. And the second one, they have longer arcs. There's more storyline, more dialogue. But the first, there's a lot of just silent action. And it's really interesting that to get the kids in, we're just going to not really have a lot of words. And it's just going to be a lot of battles with characters you haven't seen. And that's the gist. Can we get before we get someone else's opinions I want to hear who loves these, let's show a preview of the animation style. We have a couple pictures that we have pulled up. Let's just pick one to kind of show, if you're watching us on video and you love the Clone Wars, like the Filoni Clone Wars, this is what it used to be. This 2D animation, super accented. Look at that stuff.
Yeah. This is a really good shot, too. Like, Mace Windu is the most ridiculous character in this.
He is so overpowered.
It is.
That he's pretty much redeemed himself in the eyes of a few, or maybe even a many.
I know.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Especially that shot. That specific episode, I think, is one of the most memorable. And this one has definitely a lot of memorable moments in this that, like, I think affected a lot of us as kids who had no idea what it was going to be.
Yeah. Nice. Oh my gosh, Eric has his. Is that Mace Windu's lightsaber? I didn't know you owned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an impulse buy. Here, let me get over. Look at that. Honestly, I started watching this, and I'm like, oh wait, Mace doesn't totally suck all the time. All right, I'll buy that lightsaber.
Nice. Nice. I want to do a quick.
On.
Oh yeah, I was about to do that too. We got a new patron, CV in the chat. Just become a patron, so we appreciate that. $10 patron.
All right.
Do you want to make sure you? Yeah. Okay.
Buying me lightsabers. Yeah.
That is not true. We do not use UTD money to buy Eric toys. He wastes all his own money doing that.
Yeah.
I want you to paint me a picture of where you were when this show came out, because this is in a very strange time in my Star Wars fandom, because I was young enough to not really get it, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So like I knew that this thing was on TV. There's the Star Wars show, but it was like these short 5-minute things, and it wasn't really predictable. You couldn't really predict when it was going to come on, and like I didn't watch this in its entirety. I don't think until I was in college when I found it on YouTube. So
yeah,
did you guys watch this?
When I watched it. I watched it on YouTube during Hurricane Harvey. So 4 or 5 years ago, because we were rained out of the office and we got to work from home. And I was like, I get to watch Star Wars while I work.
Amazing. Instead of
while
working.
I watch Star Wars, whatever.
That's awesome. I watched this last month.
Really?
First time. Never watched it before, because I was in my like Marvel like super comics in college stage. I was in a lot of theater and sports stuff in high school. So I paused my Star Wars love until really Force Awakens time. And by that time it was a little hard to find these. I mean, they were on YouTube, but the quality wasn't great. And that's really, I think, was a big deal about Disney Plus, is like you can watch it on your TV It's crisp quality. So my only time watching was my first time watching, which was just recently. So it was wild as a 29-year-old Star Wars fan to watch these cartoons that were airing as I was a child.
Yeah. A lot of folks in the chat are jumping in saying they watched it live. Jared says that he watched it on Cartoon Network every week before X-Men Evolution. Excellent show also.
Wow, what a back-to-back now having watched Evolution.
That's right. Cad Ben says he watched it when it first came out. Cheryl says that it was weird scheduling, so she didn't really watch it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I remember it, too. It's kind of hard to find and stuff, like, back in the day. So I'm honestly shocked. To answer your original question, Eric, I'm honestly kind of shocked they put it on Cartoon Network. I mean, I put it on Disney+. Like,
yeah.
I mean, is the holiday special going to be on Disney+? I think there's a real chance that it could. I think it could be. They put the Test of Courage on there, dude. I tried to watch that. I tried to watch that last week. I tried to watch that last week.
Caravan of Courage.
Caravan of Courage. Yeah. Caravan of Courage. I tried to watch it last week, and Caitlin was like, "What the hell is this? We can't watch this."
You watch your mouth,
honey. It's Star Wars.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It really is. Like, it's just. It's hard to believe that it's even really Star Wars. Like,
it's something, but it's gonna be watching it now.
The Tartakovsky show is a little bit the animated version of that, right? Like, it's out there, man. Like, it's
weird.
It's super weird.
Intense.
It is really intense, and it's really weird. Like, okay, here, I have the other screenshot you made me pull.
Oh my God, grab it.
It's weird. Look at Look at this guy.
Looks melted already.
We gotta talk about this, is because I was watching this while I was building a mechanical keyboard. But I noticed I would put my head down and I was lubing switches. It's a whole
You were
thing.
what?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. On the Patreon right there.
It was late at night and I was lubing switches. But I looked down and then 15 minutes later I look back up and the Tals is still carrying Emperor Palpatine in his hand. So there's probably a good 15-minute action sequence where Shakti and the Athorian Jedi, and then
with his
Tals Jedi,
his forced burp of awesome. It's just like.
They're fighting off droids, and meanwhile the Tals is holding Palpatine the entire time in his arms like a baby, and it's like through the entire sequence. It's the weirdest thing that I noticed.
Second weirdest thing, because Blind Fates in the chat just said the weirdest thing that I watched, which is 3PO like sexily disrobing to show his gold plating. He's like flashing Anakin and Padme in the alley. Like,
it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. He looks great,
don't get me wrong. But it's those choices that's like, hey guys, we're gonna make the first Star Wars that's not a film, and we have another film coming in 3 years we gotta get all the kids hyped for. We're gonna make the only things they're gonna see until then, and it's like sexy 3PO, a weird Tals, an Ithorian, and then a lot of punching. Like, there is a lot of physical punching of robots, especially by Mace Windu.
Like, two different shots.
Yeah, I just like, and it's like it is wild the character growth that happened, because it was one of our favorite things about the canon Clone Wars. Like, obviously, why I'm wearing my Tano shirt is like. There's a lot of great character moments, and they evolve clearly from episode 2 to episode 3. Like, I think Anakin's arc is incredible. It's a really great part of it. And then, as Cheryl says in the chat, in this one, Anakin eats some worms and gets some weird tattoos. Like,
I pulled up more images while we were talking.
I thought you were just giving us a side profile.
Oh, this is a gold mine. Like, you have to search for these. This is ridiculous. Look at this. Like, here's Anakin. Look at.
Yeah, this is towards the end.
He gets his arm torn off. Like, dude, he looks so freaking scary. Look at him.
That was one of the parts where I was saying it was intense, because he reaches into that beam and grabs what I'm assuming is a kyber crystal, and then as he crushes it with his mechanical arm explodes, and he just
pretty metal.
Has a limb. And he screams like bloody murder, like an intense scream. And I was like, I don't know that kids are going to be like, okay to watching this, and their parents walk in and they're like, "What the hell are you watching?" Like, it's on Cartoon Network, Dad. You're like, "Oh, okay," and he just leaves the room. Okay,
Well,
it's on
and
Cartoon
it's
Network.
wild because like this is like the knighting of Anakin as a Jedi Knight happens in this. It's the same oath that gets used now in canon. I love that it's the same wording, but they cut off the braid, like really big, like monumental events. Like this is his trial, his Jedi Knight trial, is basically where he gets the weird braid tattoos and stuff. Like it is a lot of interesting choices, and I think it's also within that arc, or maybe it's a earlier one that's my favorite moment, which is Anakin has this giant like 10-15 minute long fight with Ventress. Yeah. And because we introduced Ventress for the first time, and oh my god, I love like the choreography of their fight. Like the raindrops hit the lightsaber blades and steam comes up, and it's just so environmentally satisfying.
Yeah, that was a great arc right there. And again, with the screaming.
I know. There's so much screaming. Look at Yoda riding this goat thing. Like
that was in the very beginning.
Yeah. Oh, can you bring up? I'm just gonna start requesting things, and this is so because this is how. If you haven't watched these yet, I hope that we have at least this weird freak out has inspired you to. Because this episode is basically us just kind of in awe that this existed, and Star Wars is now owning it even more. Because there's a point where there's jousting. There's literal jousting that happens with Dirge, the droid assassin that's coming back soon in the comics. And they literally have like clone troopers with like jousting things on speeder bikes rushing at droids.
It's ridiculous. I know Andrew in the chat keeps requesting I show the Corrin heads, and I have no idea what he's talking about because I can't find anything like that.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Send me an image in Slack, Andrew, if you have, and I'll show it.
It's like they should be in the Denver airport.
Oh my gosh. There's also I also have General Grievous. We got the first General Grievous in this show.
Grievous is about 23 feet tall and a terror in this show.
He's so much scarier. That's also the back of Kiadi-Mundi right there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's all curvy.
Look at his wrinkly head. What the hell?
Yeah, and we had a Oppo Rancisis not a debut, but like
I know. I bet his neck is like this big around.
Yeah, Oppo Rancisis, famously of Wes's fantasy team.
That's right. Pick number 3.
which, by the way, make sure go into our Living Force Discord or tell us in the chat what draft you want to see next, because I am going to put some of those in the schedule. We have a while between our roundtables coming up. We are going to do some more drafts. Oh, the Slack notification came up.
Oh my god! All right, I have to download this and pull it up. This is ridiculous. All right, hold on.
Oh my god! It is a choice.
Here we go. This is a bold choice. He's thick, boy.
I mean, they got killer calves.
Yeah, that's really what we're looking at.
What is this? What the hell? Oh my god. All right, anyway. Yes. All right. Okay. For you audio listeners, you need to go look this up. We need to tweet this. Somebody tweet this, like, so we can.
Yeah, Wes, who runs our Twitter.
Tweet this, please, because oh my god, this is unfortunate.
Well, hey, as Wes tweets that, let us bring. We have a video message from a very special friend who actually wanted to do the show in the first place but couldn't be here and has quite a few things to say about the old Genndy. Let's roll that video and see what Charles has to say.
Hey everybody, it's Charles. As you can see, I couldn't make the show tonight. I'm sorry about that. I'm here to give my thoughts on the Genndy Tartakovsky
I didn't notice that.
Clone Wars series. You know, as the kids would say these days, I'm not trying to flex on y'all, but I was a huge fan of this series back when it first dropped. I already loved a lot of Gendy's work. I was a big fan of Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack and all that stuff on Cartoon Network. And I remember sitting in front of the TV waiting really eagerly for these shows to drop, even though, you know, the first season was only 2 to 3 minutes at a time. Those 2 to 3 minutes were a big deal. Remember, this was the first look that we had into the Clone Wars proper. These shows were running in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And so this was the first time that we really got to see what happened after the Geonosis Arena. You know, it's really cool to go back and watch the Clone Wars now. animation has changed so much. I mean, Gendy's Clone Wars and Filoni's Clone Wars really couldn't be any more different stylistically. But I have an appreciation for both. Genndy is so stylized. I love the harsh angles, strange characterization, the use of silence throughout the episodes. I really love
big booty Quarrens.
That Gendy's Clone Wars embraces the weird and the strange and the odd. Like we see a Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan, jousting with a villain made out of bubble gum.
Where did he get bubble gum on such short notice?
Bubble gum. Genndy somehow took Shaggy from Scooby-Doo and made him a Jedi. As you do.
Shaggy, right?
Literally everything blows up at the slightest provocation. But this series also, it did a lot for characters that we didn't get to spend that much time with in the films. I mean, look at General Grievous as the main example. He is a force in this show. He's scary. But there's also, Shakti and Kit Fisto and all these other people that it did a lot for. Also this series has some of the best fights. Anakin versus Asajj Ventress in the rain at the temple. It is up there with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul and Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. It really is incredibly done. And I think it's a lot of fun, too, that we're seeing a lot of elements from this show make their way back into canon now. Dooku Jedi Lost by Kevin Scott. It had references to scenes in this show where Dooku first met Asajj. We've seen Dirge now. Remember the bubblegum guy? He's coming back in the comics. Now, finally, let's talk about Mace Windu. You can watch this show and really have an appreciation for Mace Windu. I mean, it can really change how you feel. And he can punch like 100 times per second.
Yes! Yes!
Did that scare you? He's super nice to that kid on the hill. Doesn't even refer to him as a citizen. He does kind of drink his water, and then whenever he force jumps away, he totally knocks the kid's hat off and doesn't say sorry. Other than those things, he's cool. He's cool. Go watch Genndy Clone Wars. It's a ton of fun. If you used to watch it and loved it, you'll still love it going back. If you've never seen it before, give it a try. Something new. All right. That's all I have time for. I'll catch you next week. Can't believe I had this gum just laying around.
That was amazing, Charles.
Charles is never allowed on the live show ever again.
That was fantastic.
Andrew and Emma, you're in the chat right now. You have proof that Charles can edit a video. Get him on the video team.
For real.
Wow.
That was fantastic. Also, I have to say, I pulled up Shaggy. There he is.
Oh God, this poor guy.
Shaggy the Jedi. Look. Doesn't he get like killed immediately by Grievous?
Oh, of course.
He couldn't take it. He couldn't wait.
I know he's so scared. He's like, I can't take it anymore. And he runs out and Grievous kills him like immediately, right? I remember that.
He crushes him, doesn't he?
Oh my God.
He crushes him. Just stands on him.
Oh, I mean,
That's
no
funny.
lies, Charles says. I mean, amazing you got that footage of the Mace Windu punches in that video. It's exactly frame for frame the same.
I wonder what Nicole was doing while he was doing that. She's just shaking her head like, I will never come on this show with you.
Charles, that was amazing. It was exactly the vibe of the Genndy Clone Wars, your video,
Yes.
which I think is the chaos energy of it. And I think that's the coolest thing about this show is that because it was in such segmented pieces, it doesn't really tell a giant narrative story again until kind of the last arc. It's a little longer, it's a little bit more, a little more filled, but the other ones could kind of just do whatever they wanted. Hey, we got this robot character that collects lightsabers and he's working for Dooku and Palpatine. He needs to kill people. Here's who you can't kill. And then that was it. I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Like there was such a cool canvas of it. And don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying, guys. I love the Clone Wars. I'm so excited for Bad Batch. Like I love the giant narrative arcs. I love that stuff right now. But just like Charles said, you can love both of them in different ways. And I think it's just so cool. And frankly, it's something they didn't need to do. And we're not paid for this endorsement. That Disney Plus put this on next to their Clone Wars because people are going to get confused and they're like, that's fine.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, okay.
It is certainly a very interesting part of Star Wars history that I think we have to acknowledge that did pave the way for a lot of content that we love. And it existed in a really weird part of the prequel era, right? Like everybody was wondering what was going to happen with the Clone Wars, right? At the end of the Attack of the Clones, like they said, Yoda says, "Just begun, the Clone Wars have," right? Like, right? Like, and it's this really neat thing that happened and exists, and it's weird, and you got to go watch it. Like, I think it's totally worth doing at least once for sure.
Well, and can you imagine if before Rise of Skywalker, they're like, "Hey guys, on Nickelodeon at 3:23 every Tuesday, you'll get a 2-minute clip about Finn and Poe."
Yeah,
like that was like that's such a wild concept now. It all has to be so eventized, and obviously, as is evident by my horrible sleep schedule coming up, I'm buying into it. But like there were just shows, and they were new content, but it was just, we can explore a small medium, we can explore a long medium, and I'm really excited for Star Wars to maybe get into more of that. Like, it's funny as we're talking about this, it makes me think of Star Wars Visions that's coming out later this year, right? Which are all like the anthology series from the anime writers. Like, these are probably going to be a lot of short stories that maybe don't intertwine and are just having fun with the form. And I hope they get a little weird. I'm not going to lie, because this is so fun.
They did a really good job with the music in both of these like long episodes, I guess you could say. Yeah. Especially with like Anakin and Padme's theme that they played. And it kind of all like the music really rolled into the movies. You could relate that music to what you saw in episode 2 and right into these scenes in the Clone Wars, especially with Anakin and Padme, and with Obi-Wan and with the Council too.
Also, I'll say, I mean, as big of a Padme fan as I am, I love her. I think she has some cool moments in this. The first shot of Padme, like half her torso is cleavage. I swear. Like Genndy was like, "No, the kids need to see it all." And it's
take it.
Grow up sometime.
It was a choice. But yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars, and it feels unapologetically like Star Wars.
Like Star Wars.
So I want to ask you guys, if you had to pick one. We've talked about all kinds of things around them, which is also fun about this. You can bounce all over the place with these because they're not super connected. What is, if you had to say, either when you were a kid or now, if it's changed, what's your favorite moment from the Tartakovsky Clone Wars? When you think about it, what's the one that really goes to the forefront of your head? Same goes for chat. Let us know.
I mean, the first thing I think of is that crazy scene with Mace Windu where he jumps off of that ridiculous droid box thing, that cube droid thing, and lands in the middle, just kills like thousands of droids. It's like, what the hell is this?
Comical amount of droids.
It is. It is like it is a truly it's like 100,000 droids. Like it really is. Like it's just not even. It's like when you played with Legos, like when you were playing with them, like how you made them all behave. Like, well, like that's what you did. Like Legos go everywhere. That's what you did. That's what he does.
I think Genndy is like he's like Kylo Ren in Last Jedi during the animation. He's just like more.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely. Wes, what about you?
So one that sticks out the most was when. After Anakin had crushed the kyber crystal or whatever that was, they don't have a lot of dialogue, so they don't really tell you, and blows his arm up, and then the warriors from that tribe that he was trying to help, they all were mutated in a way to kind of help the Techno Union, and they all ripped their arms off in unison for the one true Anakin Skywalker, so they're more kind of more resembling him.
I remember that. That's ridiculous.
Epic.
But and another one that really sticks out was when Grievous was fighting the Jedi, and then Palpatine was there, and then Palpatine just like watches this going on, and he's supposed to be scared, but he backs up, and he's just like, it's all coming to plan.
Yeah.
Like his shroud comes down, like the shadow over his eyes, and it just, that whole foreshadowing is great. Especially, I mean, just it's a kid show. Did they notice that, or did you have to notice that when you're an adult?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And yeah.
What about you?
Also, like, Hold on, I was trying to address West. That they didn't say if it was Kyber or not. Clearly a plot hole. They don't care at all about Star Wars. In this video essay, I will anyway. The chat is saying mine. The Anakin Asajj fight is probably number one for me. I think it like Charles said in his Emmy award-winning video that he sent us. It's beautifully choreographed. It's amazingly story told. But I will also say the my number one first round draft pick, Shakti. She has a great time with the Tals carrying Palpatine in that whole time. Her and the Athorian Jedi fighting off a ton of droids as they're just like running across Coruscant. Like while the invasion's happening, they're just running for their lives and doing little fights here and there. There's a cool thing with a bunch of trains and Magna Guards. That's super fun and intense. And I also want to give a shout out to the frame where Obi-Wan does the Akira bike drift.
Yeah.
On a land speeder with a lightsaber.
He does.
Like it is 100% the I saw a jump cut of a bunch of like all the things that have used that Akira frame. And Obi-Wan on that was one of the coolest because Obi-Wan, he has a sword and a cape. Like it's awesome. It's so cool. And Cheryl says in the chat was more anyone gonna say Kit Fisto swimming?
Yeah, that was that was weird.
In the very beginning, with
the
beautiful
I have a couple other small bits of trivia that I just learned by skimming the Wikipedia page too. James Arnold Taylor was Obi-Wan in this show. He voiced Obi-Wan. Did not know that. Yeah, James Arnold Taylor, he did that. Also, another really interesting fact, Anthony Daniels was C-3PO. He voiced C-3PO in the show. So Anthony Daniels has truly been in everything. Like he really has.
Wow.
This says that Tartakovsky stated that he purposely animated C-3PO with movable eyes and expressive eyes to sort of mimic and pay homage to his animated appearance in the holiday special, actually. Yeah, because he has eyes in the holiday special. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Chirps in the chat says the voice of Padme is the same as Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was looking at the names. I don't really recognize any of the other names, but I'm not really great at this. I'm sure
that's
Eric,
super cool.
Tom Kane was Yoda.
Yep,
that's
same
pretty
dude.
Rad. Yeah, cool stuff.
I don't think we haven't mentioned the clones a ton because there's so much good Jedi stuff. But this gave way to one of the greatest like Star Wars gifts of all time. What is that one clone trooper that goes Gaga?
Yes, that's right.
Like takes on 18 droids by himself, like double fisting rifles and stuff. Like, and it's interesting because the clones have such good personalities in Filoni's Clone Wars, and in this, like they really don't talk almost at all. Like it's all hand signals. It's all like things like that. And
I remember that episode. So the hands were like. It's ridiculous. I remember there's so many hand signals.
It's just so fun. And you know, as we're kind of getting near the end of the episode, I want to just reinforce what we said at the top of like, if nothing else, I don't think we have the Clone Wars as we think of it without this series. I think that this showed that Star Wars animation was a viable medium. I think it showed that the action, the storytelling of this era could be told beautifully in this style. And I think you were totally right at the beginning of this, Corey, that Lucas has always loved animation, but I think he really, really wanted this era to be told more than anything, which is why he talked about it in the films. He had Tartakovsky do this. He let Filoni do that. Like, this is an era he adores, and to bring it all the way full circle with the Bad Batch coming tomorrow, I think is a beautiful extension of George's vision of, I want
almost 20 years later, man. Really
it's
is.
Incredible. Like George, warriors from the Clone Wars are going to now go forward into other Star Wars, and we're going to see how that affects them. How this event that you thought about when you were a kid, essentially, is now affecting soldiers out in the world in the Bad Batch. And I'm so excited for that part of the story because we've seen, you know, when Rex and Gregor and Wolf like show up in Rebels is great. I love that, but you know, we don't get to see really the transition. And I'm amazed constantly that Star Wars can find new things to tell us about eras we already know about. And it all started here with Shaggy and worm-eating Anakin and those weird Quarren heads. So as we're ready to get out of here, guys. By the way, before we leave, one more plug. Tomorrow night, we're gonna watch the Bad Batch with our patrons. There's still time to join, just as CV did at our Quisitorius level. We'll see you tomorrow night for that. watch party, 8 p.m. Eastern. Guys, any last thoughts about this precursor to everything we know about the Clone Wars?
I am looking forward to the day that we get to have the holiday special discussion on the show when they inevitably put it on Disney Plus, and we will finally come full circle. Guys, years ago when we first started Utini, I really wanted to do a holiday special watch party. I really did. And
the first
Eric,
argument we ever really had.
That was an argument. I don't know that it was a discussion.
Eric was vehemently against it. Absolutely, completely against it. No, that is way too negative. We're supposed to be about positivity. We cannot possibly watch the holiday special together. It's gonna happen eventually on this show.
It's 3 years in. We've established ourselves. It's gonna happen. I own that now.
We're all Jefferson Starship fans at heart, so we have to have that.
I'm gonna buy a full sequin outfit to wear to the holiday special, like the dancers on the little holographic table. I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna rent out we'll rent out a room at Celebration, bring a projector, hang out with us, and we'll watch the holiday special. Because as Corey Helton famously said, everything has a price.
Everything has a price.
And it's been proven.
My good God. Well, everyone, I hope if you haven't watched the Genndy stuff in a while, I hope this gave you a little itch to go check it out again. All of you in the chat, thank you for your memories of this show. That, God, it affected us as kids. We're still loving it as adults. I can't wait to talk to some of you in Discord and on Twitter tomorrow about the Bad Batch, about the next Star Wars animated show. We don't have to wait 20 years anymore like they did between Ewoks and Genndy. But on that note, my friends, that is going to do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you already support us on Patreon, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow night for our Night at the Opera watch party, where, again, we will be watching the premiere episode of The Bad Batch. We recommend watching beforehand because we'll probably be talking throughout a lot of it. We're so excited. We'll see you then. A special thank you goes to Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson in our Alliance High Command for their amazing support of all things Utini. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Wes is at Boss Wes. And burgeoning video star Charles Henkel is at C. Henkel. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, who also designed the new intro for Bounty Hunt, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thank you to Corey and Wes for podcasting with me tonight. Thank you to all of you in the chat. And as always, may the Force be with you. Happy May the 4th!